In 1991, George Foreman and Evander Holyfield squared off in one of the biggest battles in boxing history. At just 28, Holyfield had claimed all 3 heavyweight titles to become the undisputed champion. Despite Foreman being taller, longer, and much heavier, the real deal was the favorite. But Foreman wasn't just size. He'd more than doubled Holyfield's wins, and he was steamrolling. It was the 1990s, over 15 years since the legendary Foreman had become the heavyweight champ, and he'd had 10 years out of the ring. But against all odds, Foreman was once again a one-man wrecking crew with his sights firmly set on the World Championship. During his comeback run, 24 men stood before him, and 24 men were demolished, 23 before the final bell. He looked as scary as ever, and he rightfully earned his shot at the coveted title. The champ, however, was Holyfield, a lean, mean wrecking machine of pure muscle, skill, and determination. He was a phenom, only just getting started in the division. When they fought, Foreman wobbled Holyfield multiple times, but it was Holyfield who outstruck the lumbering Foreman to retain the title. More to the point, though, Holyfield had proven that he was the better fighter, that he was better than the legendary George Foreman. But is that right? Will Evander go down in history as being better than George? In the years following their fight, Holyfield proved that he is without doubt one of the best to ever do it. In his time with the big boys, he beat Mike Tyson twice, Larry Holmes, Ray Mercer, Michael Moorer, John Ruiz, and Riddick Bowe. All champions and/or gold medalists, and they all lost to the real deal. But it's not just that. Holyfield was the first undisputed cruiserweight champ, the first cruiserweight champ to claim a heavyweight title, which was also the undisputed title. And then he won a piece of the title 4 times. No one else has won the heavyweight title 4 times. But that was the 90s. In the 1970s, George Foreman was something else entirely, and the 1970s were something else entirely for heavyweight boxers. This was the time of a prime Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, of Ken Norton, of Ernie Shavers, of George Shubalo and Jimmy Ellis. This was the golden era of heavyweight boxing, and in the golden era, everyone was afraid of George Foreman, and with good reason. Watching Foreman at his best was terrifying. He was bigger and stronger than just about every other man in the biggest division. And when he hit people, people got hurt. Properly hurt. Like straight to the hospital, perhaps boxing isn't really my thing hurt. And he wasn't just kicking cans and jobbing jobbers. Foreman practically murdered some of the best in the division, when the division was the best it's ever been. Take Joe Frazier, for example, the man who Ali said was the hardest fight he ever had. Frazier went 1-2 against Ali in 3 super fights. Foreman smoked Smokin' Joe twice after Joe beat Ali to retain the title, and Frazier hit the deck 8 times in their 7 rounds. Ken Norton went 1-2 with Ali, broke Ali's jaw for the win, lost one of the other 2 fights by a split decision, and was robbed of the other after landing almost 100 more punches. Against Foreman, Norton went down 3 times and didn't even hear the second bell. Ron Lyle went 11 rounds with Ali before the referee waved their fight off. But Foreman got back up after 2 of his only 3 career knockdowns to floor the giant bruiser in the 5th round of one of the most hellacious bouts in boxing history. Foreman chiseled his name into the all-time greats list in the 70s, without question, but he wasn't done. Foreman did it again in the 90s, after a decade out of the game, when he knocked out Michael Moorer to become the unified champ at the age of 44. No one has done it longer at such a high level than Big George. You might be wondering why we haven't mentioned Foreman's epic battle against Ali when he lost the title in a giant upset in the most famous bout of all time. That's for 2 reasons. 1. Holyfield has twice as many losses for almost half the fights, and to lesser competition, often in rematches after close victories. And 2. We never saw a rematch between Ali and Foreman because Ali didn't want a piece of that. Not again. So who really was the greatest boxer, despite Holyfield beating Foreman? George Foreman has some thoughts.
Well, I think that whenever you get a champion like champions that you speak about, a past champion, you're going to get a lot of contenders because certain people never did hurt anybody. He'd leave them on their feet and dance, and the guys would be following him all around the ring still after the fight, be screaming they won. But after I fought people, nobody followed me around hollering, I'll get you the next time I want a rematch.
Thanks for watching. And remember, if you want more fight sports in your life, just hit the subscribe button.